Watching The Last Stand with Brian Custer.
That's right. It is The Last Stand. I'm Brian Custer. We bring you the biggest names in the sport. And joining me today is one of the sport's pound for pound best. Two division world champion, the WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, El Monstro. And quite frankly, one of my favorite fighters, to be honest, the Mexican monster, David Benavidez, is back in the house on The Last Stand. David, what's up, my brother?
What's up, brother? Doing good, man. Happy to be back. Happy to see you. And I'm just happy to be here in this position.
Yes, you are. May 2nd. You're also back in the ring and moving up again. Now, cruiserweight, taking on the unified champion at cruiserweight, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. If I'm not mistaken, first Mexican to become champion at 168, first Mexican champion at cruiserweight. Tell us why the move up to cruiserweight and why Zurdo.
So, as it's been apparent, I've been trying to get the biggest and best fights. I've been trying to make the biggest and best fights happen, and I haven't, made the fights that I want happen as of late. Because of other reasons for other fighters. But it looks like everything is gonna happen. Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev look like it's gonna be a good option, not for for this year, maybe for next year. But while I wait, I want to achieve my own greatness. I want to be in my own lane. I want to do, follow the footsteps of the greats. So instead of me, I could have just got a fight with an easier opponent at 175, defending my title. But there was an opportunity that came up with Zurdo Ramirez. We reached out, my team reached out to them, we made a deal, and here we are now. And this is gonna be my first fight headlining Cinco de Mayo weekend. So it's really big. And then also, just historically, it's really big for all of us. Zurdo Ramirez, he's gonna defend his titles. I'm looking up to capture his titles Cinco de Mayo weekend, and this is two Mexicans at cruiserweight going at it. I don't think there's ever been a fight with two Mexicans at cruiserweight in Cinco de Mayo. So, this is a really big fight for both of us, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm working extremely hard, and I can't wait to get my hands on both them titles.
It's interesting because you guys, I think, sparred like 4 years ago. From my understanding, people say everybody who watched it said that was like a pay-per-view fight. Do you remember that sparring? And is there anything from there that you can take into this fight where you say, yeah, I know exactly what he likes to do, so to speak?
Yeah, just from the sparring, I sparred him a lot. Actually, I was getting him ready when he fought for his first world title at 168 against Artur Abraham. That was my first time sparring him, so I sparred him a lot. We've done hundreds of rounds, hundreds and hundreds, maybe like 200 somewhere around there. But for me, when I spar somebody, the good thing about that I could do is I could hold that information. I have a really good memory, so things change in fighters, but not really so much. So, there's obviously going to be a lot of new stuff he does, but there's going to be a lot of old stuff he does too. So it's just getting that information that I learned from him back then, applying it. I know his weak hands, I know his strong hands. So it's just, putting together a game plan and just going in there. I think it's going to be a whole different experience because I'm going up to cruiserweight. I'm going up 25 pounds from 175. So, um, I'm very excited. I don't have to lose any weight. So I think I feel like I'm gonna come in stronger because of that. And there's just a lot going in behind this fight. Like I said, I want to make my own history. This is gonna be the third. Once I capture these titles, it's gonna be my third weight class that I become world champion in. So there's a lot of motivation going behind this fight, and I'm very excited. But you are right. Everybody who's seen this fight said that this fight was, or that sparring session was a pay-per-view sparring session. And that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a pay-per-view fight. People are gonna get their money's worth, and people are gonna leave really happy after this fight.
Yeah. How do you envision it? I mean, when you go to sleep at night because you know him so well, you know how you fight. How do you envision this fight playing out on May 2nd?
Well, every time I envision it, I envision me knocking him out. But it's another story to get that done. I know his weaknesses. I know his strengths. Now it's just for me, like I said, I need to put a good game plan together, follow the game plan, and I know I can hurt him a lot in this fight. So it's just following the game plan, attacking the weak spots that I know that could be hurt, and just trying to hurt him every single round.
And when you move up, man, I mean, those are some big dudes, man. And I remember when you made the jump up. I want to say the light heavyweight. It was Vosdick, I think it was, and you hurt your hand. You're like, yo, those are some big dudes, man. I hurt my hand with this cat, and you were throwing a lot of punches on them. Do you believe the power will carry as you go up here down the cruiserweight?
Yeah, definitely. The only well, you guys seen the power carried at 175. The only reason I didn't hurt Bosick is because my hands were injured going even before going into that fight. But I can hurt anybody, and I know that for a fact. I've hurt everybody in sparring. I've hurt everybody in the fights. So the power is there. I have a lot of power. Now I feel like I'm gonna have even more power because I'm not gonna drain myself at all for making any type of weight. I'm already on weight. So I could just focus on just keeping the muscle. I don't have to shed any muscle off. But I do have to put on more muscle. I have to work harder as we're going up weight class. I have to train different. I'm not fighting at 175 no more. I'm fighting 200 at cruiserweight. And yeah, the training camp is gonna be different and strength and conditioning wise, but also I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm not gonna stay up here at cruiserweight. My what I wanted to do, like I said, there was options on the table. I wanted to come up, get the cruiserweight titles, and then I want to go back down and fight Bivol or Beterbiev. And then after that, go back up to cruiserweight. So, we have a good game plan behind this. I mean, we have a lot of good fights to make happen. And like I told all my fans, I don't want to be that guy that, just says that he's gonna fight everybody and doesn't fight anybody at all. And I think I've made it very apparent that all the guys I name, I go after and fight them. So Zurdo Ramirez, then Beterbiev and Bivol. So it's gonna be good, man. I'm very excited for me. I'm very excited for my fans. I'm very excited for the sport of boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the way you talk and the way you do business, and obviously the way you fight, is probably one of the reasons why so many people love you. And I even said it, and I certainly was not hyperbole when I say you, without question, one of my favorite fighters out there right now. You guys have been obviously very complimentary of one another in this fight. But I read the one thing that Zurdo did say. He said Ramirez said this: "This is going to be a fight, a real Mexican versus a pocho." Or I had to use my babble to find that out to learn. 'Cause I'm trying to learn Spanish myself, but in other words, a Mexican who's lost touch with his heritage. In other words, he's basically saying a fake Mexican.
Yeah,
Your response to that?
yeah, it always goes like that. There's always a rivalry between Mexicans from Mexico and Mexicans from the United States, because in their eyes, we're not real Mexicans. So it doesn't matter to me. I mean, at the end of the day, the real Mexican like myself, David Benavidez, is going to be walking away with those titles, or the Pocho Mexican is going to be walking away with the title. So it don't matter to me.
What one guy who just recently talked about you, and you just said him, Dmitry Bivol, says he wants to move up the cruiserweight. Said he would love to fight the winner of this fight as his intro into this division later this year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that would be great. For me, I think it was already. I would love to do that, but we got to get that fight at 175 first. You know what I mean? I've been there for a long, long time. This is my second time that I've been trying to unify titles, and it would be a shame if I wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, obviously, I'd fight him at cruiserweight, but I got to get my opportunity. So maybe he gives me my opportunity at 175. And then we do it again at cruiserweight. But that's a big part of why I do what I do, or why I go against the people I go against, because I want the accolades, I want the belts. I want all the world titles at 175, and Dmitry Bivol has them. So if I don't go through him to get them, I'm gonna go through Beterbiev. So if he wants to give me that opportunity first at 175, we'll do that, and then we could do cruiserweight.
Mm. What one guy who I know your dad had spoke about, obviously your trainer, manager, is the IBF champ, Jai Opetaia. Any thoughts on fighting him at cruiserweight?
Yeah, Joe Opetaia is a good fighter. He's really strong. Has a lot of power. I just think, in my opinion, what makes more sense to me, I'm talking into like in a businessman standpoint. Zurdo Ramirez right now. That's why I called that fight, because there's more sauce behind this fight. You know, Jai Opetaia is a great fighter. He was a strong fighter. He's probably one of the strongest fighters of cruiserweight, in my humble opinion. But he's not really known that much. You know what I mean? Even in Australia, you don't even sell out in Australia.
Right.
And I think what I've shown from what I do, I fill the seats in with people, and every time it's two Mexicans going up, that's already that's already gonna sell out. You know what I mean? So we're moving little by little, step by step. But like I said, if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen later. I'm not ducking nobody. I mean, all these guys in the same category, man. Beterbiev, Bivol, Zurdo Ramirez, Jai Opetaia. You know, all these guys are great fighters. So I mean, if I believe I could beat one of them, I could believe I could beat all of them. So as the question is would I fight them? That's no question. I'll fight anybody. But right now, we're taking the steps. We're taking the proper steps to do exactly what I said. But after these fights, once I get Zurdo, once I get Bivol, once I get Beterbiev, I'm always gonna need an opponent after that. So maybe that's when that fight would happen.
Mm. Listen, you already talked about fighting on Cinco de Mayo weekend. You're certainly talked about taking over both Cinco de Mayo weekend and Mexican Independence Day, which were days obviously Canelo had owned those for years. Do you believe David Benavidez can carry that Mexican boxing torch here in the States and ultimately what Canelo had done become the face of Mexican boxing?
100%. I could be that 100%, and not only because of who I am, because of how the way I fight. What I love about what I do and about the fights I give, that every time I'll see a fan like outside after one of my fights, like with the David Morrell fight, what's his name? My last fighter I fought,
Hard.
Yard, Caleb Plant. They say, "Oh man, we were glued to the TV. We were stuck to the TV. We didn't want to leave, man. This is one of the best fights we've seen in years and years and years." So for me to bring that type of boxing back, I'm just really happy for that. I'm not bringing the excitement, well, not bringing the excitement back, but every time I step into that ring, it's pure excitement. So I could definitely carry, the May 5th, September, and the September dates. Because this is just what people love to see. People love to see a Mexican fighter going at it, and a warrior. Not even just Mexican people. People just love to see a warrior going at it, and just giving the best fights possible. Cause I'll stay in there. I'll get hit. It doesn't matter. It's not like I'm gonna run or nothing like that. And I just like to give the fans the best fights possible. And that's what I'm gonna keep doing.
Do you think, and I haven't heard you really talk about it in a while, but do you think that Canelo fight has now long passed?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like it doesn't look like it, but then it kind of looks like it. You know what I mean? It looks like it will happen, but then it looks like it won't happen. It just it's like it makes too much sense for this fight to happen for it not to happen. You know what I mean? There's the pay-per-view buys will be insane.
Mhm.
It'd be a great fight, be a great event. I don't think Canelo's done yet. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know. But like I said, I'm not gonna sit around and wait for him. I'm making my own land, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We'll move on.
Why do guys not call you out? Usually in boxing, you hear, "Hey, I want this guy." You rarely ever hear a guy say, "I want David Benavidez."
Because they know once I hear them call me out, I'm trying to make that fight the next day. That's the difference for me. I mean, if somebody calls me out, then I love it. Let's make the fight happen. But people, what I've noticed out of this boxing game, if people say a lot of stuff and then you try to make the fight happen and they don't want to make that happen. So they know that for me, I'm not going to waste my time. I've been here for 13 years. I've been professional 13 years. I've been boxing 26 years. I'm not wasting no more time no more. If we're going to make that, if there's a fight that I want to make, I'm there at the manager's door trying to make that fight happen. So that's why people know with me, they better not play with their words because they know I'm coming for them.
One guy you used to have some beef with, obviously, it seems like it must be patched up by now because we had him on the last stand not too long ago, Jamal Charlo, and he said, "Look, I'm good with David Benavidez and his father now." He said, "But you know what? I still wouldn't mind having that fight." What do you think? I know you. I know, obviously, you're fighting at 168, but did you ever think you and Jamal Charlo would ever get in the ring together?
I wanted to. It was a good, it was a hope of mine just because, to be honest with you, I was a fan of them before they came up. I mean, when they were coming up, and big shout out to Jamel, big shout out to Jamal. There's some great dudes, we talk. They're nice people. But yeah, I mean, like the thing about me is I always wanted to get in the ring with the fighters that I thought were the best fighters at the time. And at the time, I thought they were both the best fighters. You know what I mean? And I feel like they kind of need to get back in the ring. They're just leaving too much fights on the table that they could still shine.
Mm.
It's not like they lost bad or they got beat up or they got knocked out. They still have a lot of life left in them. So I mean, I would love to see them fight again. Um, but yeah, I would. That was one of the fights I was trying to get at that time when we were calling out David Morrell, we are calling out Charlo, we are calling out Plant. So yeah, that was definitely a fight that I was willing to make happen, and it would have been a great fight. It would have been a great fight. So yeah, man.
Yeah. Are you knocking on Hall of Fame status, you think?
I mean, not yet. I feel like I've put the groundwork in to make that possible. Um, when I answer questions, you guys, I'm answering them myself. I'm being completely honest, and I'm not lying about anything. I don't think I've done enough to get there yet. I think after this fight, once I win the titles right there at cruiserweight, unify them or the unified titles, that would put me in the position to make a run for greatness or make a run for the Hall of Fame status. And then from there, just keep winning big fights. I think once this is gonna be my start to my run. Like like how Canelo had a run and when he beat all those people. Then Mayweather had a run and Pacquiao had a run. I think that's when the Hall of Fame status, you could really see if you're going to be a Hall of Famer or not. So, I mean, I think I've done 50% of the work. We still need another 50%. So, I'm going to keep my head down until I win these fights and until I retire. I'm going to be working extremely hard, and I'm not going to try to like get big headed off of any type of victories, any type of titles. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of living legends that's accomplished so much. So, I'm trying to follow in their footsteps and just keep working and then see what we end up with when I'm retired. And then when I'm retired, we'll make the decision if we deserve to be in the Hall of Fame or not.
Let's talk about some of the things that are going on in the sport. It seems like one of the things that is going on, these sanctioning fees and guys getting stripped. Some guys are like, hey, look, man, that sanctioning fees are outrageous. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the sanctioning fees are gonna be the sanctioning fees. You gotta pay to hold the titles. I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing about that. They've always been what they are. I think people just don't want to pay no more. I mean, I think some of the sanctioning fees have shown that they're willing to negotiate. So I don't know. I have a great relationship with the WBC, the WBA, every other organization. So yeah, I'm good with what they're charging.
Okay. Uh, it seems like obviously Shakur Teo was the hot fight that just happened, and now Shakur, obviously a hot fighter, with his dominant win. Give me the one fight you would love to see two guys right now who are in their prime.
Off of that victory this weekend, I would love to see Shakur and Gervonta. I think Gervonta and anybody in any of the top guys at that weight class is a great fight. Gervonta, Shakur, Gervonta, Teo, Gervonta, Keyshawn. I mean, that 135 to 140 pound weight class is hot right now. You know what I mean? But that would be a great fight. I think probably that would be one of the fights that would be the most anticipated. If they can make happen, Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevens. And by no means it would be easy for either fighter. We just seen that Shakur Stevens was able to shut a great fighter like Teofimo down and made him look silly. So that would be a great fight. And a big shout out to Shakur Stevens becoming a 4-time division champion. He's on legendary status. He's on his way to be a Hall of Famer too, and he's still very young. So I mean, I'm very proud of him. And this is a great victory for him, and just salute to him. Just keep doing his thing.
You ever see? I mean, because now with you being in Florida, do you ever run into Tank? And obviously he's had some issues now outside of the ring to give him encouragement or to be like, hey, look, my man, let's right the ship here. Focus on boxing as opposed to that other stuff.
Nah, I haven't. I've only seen him one time, but you know what I mean. With Gervonta, I feel like he's kind of beating himself in the ring outside of the ring. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I say, he has too much life to give in the sport of boxing. he's a motivation, and he's a role model for a lot of people in boxing. So he needs to do. I don't want to say what he needs to do, but he just, what I mean, I think he just needs to focus on boxing more, and just keep giving us the fights that we love to see him in. You know what I mean? He's a monster in the ring, and he's a great fighter. He just kind of just needs to get his life together outside the ring.
So many people love the way you fight and talk about you. Who's your favorite fighter? Give me one guy where you were like, yo, I turned the TV on because I love to watch this kid fight.
To be honest with you, all the fighters now, like I like Keyshawn Davis. I love Ryan Garcia. I love Shakur Stevens, Teofimo. Inoue's a fighter I love too. Usyk. I love Usyk.
Mhm.
Who else? Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis. Man, it's all these new fighters, like the top fighters in this era. They're all good, man. I enjoy watching every single one of them.
Where you look at the sport now, Canelo at one time was the face of boxing. He gets beat by Crawford. All of a sudden, Crawford's the GOAT. He is in the position that he's always wanted to be, call the shots. But he says, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to retire. There's nothing left for me to do. He You got Tank, who's one of the biggest draws. He continues to have the issues outside the ring. Do you believe there's an opening for someone to be the face of boxing? And there's David Benavidez.
Yeah, this is wide open, and that's why I'm training extremely hard. That's why I'm extremely motivated for this fight, and it was a blessing to get the date May 2nd. And then now I'm fighting Zurdo Ramirez, and I'm training extremely hard, and I don't only want to be called the face of boxing, I want to earn that. So with this victory, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna put everything into the ring. I'm gonna put a phenomenal performance on. I'm gonna win the 2 titles. I'm gonna become unified champion at cruiserweight, and then I will become the face of boxing.
Mm. And let me ask you this. What's the lesson learned? Because when you were good even at a young stage, but you had to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
How'd you turn it around? And I guess what's the lesson to some of these cats who are facing some issues? How'd you turn it around where all of a sudden now people look at you and say, this is the model. This is the guy. What would be the advice you would tell these cats?
Yeah, well, just, fight for your family, fight for your children, fight for your wife, and, find some spirituality in your life, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. Lord Jesus Christ has helped me through this whole process. I've been through a lot of stuff, but now I'm more grateful for everything that I get. And, I want to leave a good example to my children. I want to be a good man for my wife and everybody who follows me. And, that's just what it is, man. Just trying to be the best version of myself I could be, trying to be a role model, try to hold myself to a higher example. Because if once you start not caring, you do stuff, and then little by little, other kids or, young people, they try to follow the stupid things you're doing. So I just try to hold myself at a higher example for these people, and I've really got into I'm very spiritual now. I put Lord Jesus Christ in my life. And then also just, just being being the best version of myself I could be for my parents, my wife, and my children.
That's fantastic. Brother, that I'm telling you, man, I think that's why you're so endearing that people gravitate to you and everything that you've been doing. So give me the ultimate goal now for you in the ring. When you look at it, you say, this is what I want to accomplish this year, and this is ultimately what I want to accomplish in the ring.
Well, this year I want to get those 2 titles at cruiserweight. Hopefully, if we could get a fight with Dmitry Bivol at the end of the year or the beginning of next year to unify those titles, man, that would be amazing. Imagine just in those 2 fights right there. Those are what does Bivol has 3 or 4? He has 3, right?
Yeah.
That would be 5 titles I could capture in 2 fights. So just capturing those titles is my main motivation. And then after that, just becoming the face of boxing and becoming a great fighter that holds his word and beats all these fighters. That's exactly what I want to be. I want to, like I said, I want to be the face of boxing, and I'm working extremely hard to manifest that. And sooner or later, I'm gonna be the man of boxing. So I can't wait for that to happen.
Lastly, May 2nd, pay-per-view. Tell people what's going to happen.
May 2nd pay-per-view, David El Monstro Benavidez is going to capture 2 cruiserweight titles. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a war, Cinco de Mayo, but don't miss it. It's going to be great.
You think you can stop him?
I know I can stop him. I know I can stop him. It's going to take a lot of work, but if we push the right buttons, we could get his ass down.
Folks, it's why you love him. He's the Mexican monster, and he's looking to become unified at cruiserweight in a new division. That's what we do here on The Last Stand. We bring you the biggest names in the sport, and I tell you right now, probably the most popular is this guy right there, David Benavidez. Appreciate you, champ. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. That's right. I am Brian Custer. This is The Last Stand. We certainly appreciate your support, not only listening, watching the show. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, because you don't want to miss the next episode of The Last Stand. You can also listen to the podcast. You can download it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Podcast Addict, Deezer, or whatever platform you get your podcast on. You can hear The Last Stand. We certainly appreciate the support. Don't forget, download, share it with your friends, and just listen to The Last Stand.